Hailing frequencies open, and welcome to Star Trek Discoverage, the live podcast that boldly goes into excruciating detail about this week's episode of Star Trek Prodigy. I'm your host, Aaron Coker, a.k.a. Caliban, and I want to know if the Janeway program is written in Java. Joining me on the show, as usual, is my co-host. She's also the co-host of the Generations Geek podcast, a more or less family-friendly celebration of geekdom. It's Ella Pearson. Ella, welcome back to Discoverage. Ella, it's so good to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, much better. I think hopefully I sound much better than I sounded last time I was on the show.
You sound much better than you did. Are you
good,
feeling better?
I'm glad. I am feeling much better. Yeah, I have an inhaler now. Very interesting doctor's visit. He was like, turns out you can't breathe. And now,
Yes.
Yeah, I feel better.
What, if you don't mind me asking, what kind of, what's in it? What's in the inhaler?
I don't know.
You're very trusting.
All I know is I trust it. All I know is that now I can breathe.
Yeah. All right. Well, what do you need to know other than that, right?
Exactly.
Well, that's good. It's good to hear, and we're glad to have you back. And yeah, it's, with everything going on, there's a lot of people that I'm sure having trouble breathing, but it's bad for a broadcaster.
Yeah, I bet. Thankfully, yeah. Well, and thankfully, my reason wasn't for the big reason, the normal reason, no COVID.
Yeah,
but
that's good.
Yeah.
Well, good.
But now we're back to normal.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
We're back to
just
normal.
An extra inhaler in my purse.
Yeah, if we hear a little during the show, we know what's going on.
Yeah, you'll know.
Say no more. Say no more.
I actually did it. I did it right before. I do it right before my Zoom meetings at work too now.
Okay.
I learned my lesson on that one real fast. I was like, okay, inhaler before you get on the Zoom call.
Yeah.
Not like wait until immediately after.
Right. Yeah. Just huge puff. Yeah. Well, glad to have you back, and glad to be here, glad to be watching the show tonight. This is the part of the show where we talk about the news in the world of Star Trek, and there's not quite a lot of news going on right now. Obviously, the big news is that Prodigy is out, and we're all watching it. But I wanted to ask you a question, and that question is, are you a collector of collectibles?
A little bit, I really try and reel myself in a little bit. I also, I'm 24. I live in an apartment.
Yeah.
And so I don't have the space. Also, as far as like Star Trek is concerned, those listeners who perhaps know my father, he has quite the Star Trek collection.
Oh, sure.
And it makes it easier, I think, for me to not buy Star Trek things. Because most likely it is in my dad's basement.
Yeah, if you want to see those things, you can just go to the geek basement.
Exactly. I'm there. I'm doing my laundry.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you see them every time.
The Star Trek collection is on full display.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the reason that I ask,
you?
I'm not because I don't know. I'm sure I waste my money on dumb stuff, but for some reason, like collectibles aren't generally something that I think, I could drop, a lot of expendable income on that. I do have a couple things. I bought a Tom Paris mutant Playmates figure. I bought a Edith Keeler figure at a charity auction a while ago. The biggest, dumbest thing I have is probably I have a full-size standee of John Wesley Shipp as the Flash from the 90s Flash show. That I'm going to get signed by him someday.
Interesting.
But, yeah, not a huge guy. And mostly it's because I have boxes and boxes and boxes of comic books. That's the dumb thing that I spend my money on.
Oh, I see. Because I was going to say, what are we counting as collectibles? You know what I mean? Like, is it something that you keep in the box? Or is it like one thing that you buy a million of?
Yeah, I guess I have a lot of collectible White Castle boxes in my back seat. I mean, if we're going to open up the field. But the kind of collectibles that I'm talking about is Heritage Auctions, which is a website that does auctions, often for production props and costumes for TV shows, has an auction going on right now until the end. It ends on November 7th, and they're auctioning some pretty impressive props and costumes from the world of Star Trek, particularly the original series. And they have an original... it's a gold uniform. I don't know if it's a Captain Kirk uniform, although it does have the captain braids. signed by James T. Kirk. They've got a science officer's tunic, and they have a full set of 79 scripts from every episode of Star Trek: The Original Series. Some of them signed by writers, people like D.C. Fontana, David Gerald, producer Bob Justman, and so on and so forth. The the Spacey script, of course, is signed by William Shatner and Ricardo Montalban. And I was like, that's so cool. Opening bid, $12,000. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
It's a lot. They've got other stuff. They've got like Green Hornet props and spacesuit props from like I Dream of Jeannie. They also have the phaser rifle that Shatner uses in the Where No Man Has Gone Before second pilot. Opening bid $250,000.
No, who's gonna buy? Is there okay?
Well, I hope your dad's not listening to this because you're going to come down to an empty basement, no other toys, no washing machine, and maybe just a phaser rifle sitting there.
What with peace and love, and with all due respect, what Star Trek fan has 250,000 bones to throw at that?
Well, I can think of one Star Trek fan, and that's one Mr. Jeff Bezos, who, according to a recent write-up in the Washington Post, the paper that he owns, they talk about his love of Star Trek, his love affair with Star Trek.
I don't know if I buy that. I don't. You can't be Jeffrey Bezos and also a Star Trek fan. I don't think that's how that works.
He thinks it works that way. There's a picture of him where he's meeting with Patrick Stewart, and they're both wearing like colored shirts and black blazers or jackets, so it does look a little cloney. And then Alex Kurtzman is there, and the caption is that he and Alex Kurtzman stopped by Amazon to talk about Picard, the show Picard, and it says they dropped in on the team that writes jokes for Alexa. There's a team that writes jokes for Alexa. So it's probably good money. I wouldn't complain about that, I guess, too much.
Upon meeting Patrick Stewart, did he have the same terrifying look on his face as right when he got back from space?
Oh.
Stalin's cowboy hat?
Right. This is, I might have said Shatner before. This is Patrick Stewart is there. So they're both.
Oh, yeah.
They're looking at each other. They're both bald. And they're both, just slim white men. So it's like, okay. Oh, no, he's got the glasses. Okay, yeah. Bezos would never be seen in glasses. So that's Patrick Stewart there on the right. So anyway, yeah, I mean, if you could write a joke on the level of, don't bother me, I'm counting electric sheep or whatever, then I'm sure you could write for Alexa.
Oh, my God. Should I apply to Amazon?
I'm thinking
Should I sell out?
Myself. Yeah.
I do. Listen. I'll admit something. I have an Alexa.
Yeah.
And her wake word is computer, so I get to tell the computer to dim the lights, and it's very, I'll say it, it's very fun.
That's a very popular thing.
And now she's talking to me in the background.
Yeah, shut up, Alexa. But, yeah, if I had one, I would do that as well. But not yet. You haven't got me yet, Bezos. We'll see. Probably in the future. Maybe I'll get one when I'm an employee. Well, anyway, we've just seen the third episode of Star Trek Prodigy, an episode called Starstruck, and we're here to talk all about it. But first, as always, a warning. We are setting a course for the spoiler zone listeners, so be warned. We're glad you've decided to join us, but if you haven't seen the episode, spoilers are incoming. The official synopsis for Starstruck is, even with the guidance of their hologram advisor Janeway, the crew of the USS Protostar is tested when their ship is on a dangerous cosmic collision course. This episode was written by Chad Quant and directed by Alan Wan. There was no star date for this episode, although we do know from previous promotional materials that the show takes place in 2383. I would usually talk about some facts for the episodes, but there aren't a ton of facts this episode. But I'm concerned with opinions, and I want to know your opinion of the opinion of the president of CBS Viacom and Alex Kurtzman wanting to bring Star Trek Prodigy possibly to the big screen.
Like make a movie?
A feature film, yeah. The Hollywood Reporter talked with both of them recently, and Kurtzman talked about how this is for kids, but they know that it has broader appeal, and they premiered it at New York City Comic Con, and the response was so great, and they thought, this could be a movie.
That's kind of bold. That's early in the game.
It is
to float that idea.
It is early in the game. Now, I don't question its appeal at all, but Kurtzman, who is, we've talked about how I think his job is just to talk. He talks a lot, and he talks about how, our job. Yeah, that he can he write jokes for Alexa though? He was watching Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and thought, yeah, we've got this, we could do this. And I don't disagree, but Kurtzman, not a great record with Spider-Man films.
I was going to say bold because that might be one of the best Marvel movies ever made.
Well, but he wasn't involved in that one at all. He was involved in the one before it. Yeah,
exactly. So if they come out the gate with a Spider-Verse level feature film, then I would love that.
And maybe
so far,
yeah.
We're 2 episodes in. So if I were him, I'd be a little bit like, I'll wait to pitch the movie. You know?
This wasn't explicit, but I think it was kind of implied, the idea that, referencing Into the Spider-Verse and its kind of kitchen sink approach to heroes and characters. I think that you could use that as an opportunity to say, revive your idea for Star Trek 4, which apparently, died because it was just too expensive. If it's animated, maybe Thor, has a cheaper rate for just his voice or something like that. And then we can think about doing what we're doing with Kate Mulgrew and the other still extant, actors and Star Trek stars, have some kind of crisis, some kind of, Avengers-like meeting of, several crews, and you don't have to worry about getting everybody on a set or people being old. You just throw them all together in animation. I now think that this is going to happen for sure. I mean, come on, that's just a good pitch.
It is a good pitch. I also, when did the last JJ Trek movie come out?
2015. Don't look it up.
I was going to say it's about time to have another Star Trek movie on screen. It feels like, I saw. This is maybe embarrassing. I saw 2009 in the theaters like at least 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, okay.
It's exciting. But if we're putting me on blast, then put my dad on blast too because we went together every time.
Okay, well, there you go.
But so it'd be nice to see it again. Especially with, like you said, an Avengers type squad.
Yeah. I think they could get that energy back, sure. And every time you see, somebody from the JJ cast do another project, the last question is always, "What's up with Star Trek?" And everybody always seems like pretty enthusiastic to get back in the saddle. So they could definitely. I think that crew is on standby. I think they'd be there.
Yeah, that I feel like JJ Trek gets a lot of hate, but those were good summer blockbusters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And that's just what movies are now, right? So
exactly. And frankly, I think we deserve more. I think we're owed more. We've been through enough. I want another Star Trek movie.
Yeah,
Mr. Kurtzman.
Me too. Something will happen soon. They're working on a couple ideas, so we'll see what happens with that. But let's talk about the show that we're here to talk about, Star Trek Prodigy. Of course, this episode was Starstruck. We can talk about that in a second. But what did you think, since you weren't here last week, about the hour-long premiere of Star Trek Prodigy, Lost and Found?
I'll be honest. I was not the most impressed last week.
Yeah. Tell me more.
Well, and this is maybe, here's the thing. I don't want it to seem like I'm on the side of these like annoying men on Star Trek Twitter who have only negative things to say.
We walk that line every week, so don't.
Yeah.
Don't worry about
I just
that.
want to make it clear that I'm not associated with them. But I did during the lockdown watch some Star Wars animated TV series. You know, I watched some Clone Wars or whatever, and it was serving me Star Wars last week.
Yeah.
And you know, we have to, you know, television is a business, and you have to compete. There's competitors. You have to like put yourself out there, whatever. So last week I was a little bit like, why is there like a robot here? Why is General Grievous here speaking to me? And again, I'm not. It's with peace and love, because it was, you know, it was fine television. But this week, I felt much more like, okay, this feels a little bit more like Star Trek. We talk about that every week. We're like, is it Star Trek? And I don't think I've ever really had a concise explanation for what is Star Trek. But this week I felt a lot more confident in like, oh, I'm feeling like we're getting somewhere. This is something new. It's something different. It's itself. You know what I mean? Versus like last week with the pilot, I was a little bit like, there's the villain is a Sith. I'm a little uncertain, but yeah. So, but I'm a lot happier today.
Is it Star Trek? Here's my idea for a podcast. Is it Star Trek? It's meant in the best way possible, because it's just looking at the gamut, the wide gamut of things that you can do in Star Trek. But of course, it would be hated equally by both sides of the debate, and just be the most vilified podcast ever. We talked last week about the sort of the look, you know, and the sort of aesthetic that it's trying to bring about. And I think one of the things that we talked about was feeling like it's Star Wars, but also looking at it and going, what would you like? You know, would you like it to be, it's on a beige, you know, walled bridge, a bunch of like middle-aged cartoon renderings of middle-aged LA actors, you know, in pot-bellied speed suits or whatever.
Yeah, give me some tan carpet in there. Right,
exactly. You know, and the wood grain. Like, is that it, or is it the spirit of the show? Is it, you know, having a crew who's out for adventure and is going to learn lessons and things like that, you know? And if it has if it looks kind of like Star Wars Rebels, like maybe we can get away with that, you know, especially if you are, because the thing about it is this is just, you know, this is a feeder, right? This is like a gateway trek for young kids to get them into it. And if they're going to tune over from, I don't even know what Rebels is on, but like from Rebels to this, they're going to go, oh, I know this. Disney Plus, there you go. You know, you get your clicker out, you click over from Disney Plus to Paramount Plus. They're going to go, I know this. I know what this is. Okay, this is cartoon stuff. This is for me. So it's like I'm willing to overlook that. I think that we've got an element of what I'm talking about, like with Janeway. Like she's on a bridge, she's in a uniform, we get it. But like I'm cool with it not just being very smooth versions of the original series actors, like on the animated series, the original animated series, and like only their mouths move because we're saving all the money we can on animation.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I do think, you know, I don't know if I could explain further whatever it was last week that put me off. I don't know if it was because I didn't know what to expect, and then I was like, I'm not seeing Spock here, so I'm gonna need a break. But I do, yeah. I'm like, where is Ethan Peck? Was he gone this week? But I do. I am excited, and I like totally agree with you. And yeah, as much love as I have for the animated series, it was, you know, just copy and paste.
Something I wonder about as far as the production goes and what they decide to do on the show is always dictated by budget in the live action space. So if you do a big, you know, feature length pilot like Caretaker for Voyager, the next episode they're going to be on the bridge, and there's going to be a very easy to do space wormhole that they're trying to get out of or something like that, because they got to kind of save money. And that's kind of like exactly what they did in this episode. This reminded me a lot of Parallax, the third or second episode of Voyager. And I wonder if that's a limitation, because when you see like the dwarf star and all the visuals and the things they're doing, that's got to cost just as much as a rock girl going, I don't know about that. Like there's probably just like an X number budget for every episode that they can kind of go a little above or a little below.
Yeah. I don't really know. I also think, I worry that I'm biased because I don't watch very many like animated shows like at all.
Yeah.
Which, sometimes can be like a fault. I don't want to, I'm all on board with like every kind of I mean, it feels like when people are like, oh, I can't watch black and white movies, it's like boring, and I'm like,
okay.
Are you stupid? Like what? And so I don't want to be like, oh, I don't watch animated shows, but the reality is that I don't watch very many, and so I worry that I'm watching it and like how I'm interpreting it is kind of being colored by the only animated show that I've really loved recently probably is Lower Decks. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is a very different show than this and a very different style. I don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean, you feel the way you feel, but perhaps it'll grow on you, or perhaps they'll never get. I think it will. I mean, it's not going to happen.
and then I don't love it. I don't love any show without Spock in it.
It's hard to find a Spock in this. Maybe that's on purpose. But so far, Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I did really like this episode like a lot more than I liked last week's. For whatever reason, didn't work for me, and I'm really excited to see where they go with it because it did feel a lot more like, I don't know. It felt better to me. I liked it more. I'm very excited to see like where it goes. And I don't know. I think it's good, like you said, to have something like a Star Trek show. Well, it's good to have a Star Trek show that's different. Like that's what I was excited about going into it. Is I'm like, it's very different. And if I was a kid, I would be losing my mind.
Oh yeah. Something I was thinking about is that like every aging nerd, with children, always picks a time or a year or an age to sit their kids down and go, okay, here's Luke Skywalker, or here's Spock or something. And if you're like an older Star Trek fan who's just kind of put their flag down on, I don't like new Star Trek Island, you're kind of screwed, buddy, because your kid is going to know about this and they're probably going to want to watch it. So it's kind of a feeder for adults too. We get to meet or fully meet Janeway, or at least the Janeway program in this episode, and I like her. I like the character. I like where she's positioned so far. But maybe it's that like Janeway, the face of Captain Janeway is something that I know better than like my own face almost, and I think it puts me. I think the curve of the uncanny valley is unnaturally steep for this character that is so legendary. I think she looks good, but it's a little off-putting sometimes.
I guess I was more like watching her as like, this is her, like the hologram, saying Hermione the hologram. Yeah. This is her time to be a little bit flat before she becomes something more like, the Doctor in Voyager.
Oh.
Like, I'm hoping that she gets to kind of, like, evolve, or we get to know her sort of as more of her own thing.
Yeah.
Than this sort of, I was thinking about during this episode, I was, like, imagining some whatever, like, fangirl at Starfleet Academy, like, coding the hologram for the new ship, being like, and I'll give her a cup of coffee.
Right. Yeah. Right. Just for fun. Yeah. She'll kill a Tuvix, and I was thinking that that's a great observation. I do want to see the character grow. I think the biggest success for the character will be for her to be enjoyable, likable, your favorite character, and yet differentiate herself almost completely from Janeway. I think if this show runs for a long time, I think it'd be a real shame if Kate Mulgrew was just doing like base Janeway the entire time. That being said, like she does seem to be have a lot of facility and be very animated and lifelike. But they're porting like however many thousands of years the Doctor has, and all the cycles that he's
Yeah.
run. They're porting all that, like, maybe they've got a lot of data now because it's 5 years later. So, like, maybe that's how we get Picard holograms being so lifelike and animated, is because all that work that the Doctor did, just developing his AI in his program. But the coffee, though, nice touch. And then, of course, timed comedically perfectly, where she's just like, that's none of my business. Sip.
Exactly.
They give her, like, her face is, this is such a dumb pick, but she's got, like, this kind of Amy Poehler underbite thing going on. And it's like, that's not really what, like, Kate Mulgrew's mouth looks like. But I don't know, maybe they're trying something.
Oh my gosh. I guess, it really wasn't, I didn't get Uncanny Valley from her, like, at all. I was just like, oh, that's kind of a thing. It's not really a character yet. It's like there.
Yeah. Well, that's what that is. Like, that's not being able to really accept it. Whereas if she was maybe the Funimation, more simplistic type drawing, you'd be like, oh, sure, yeah, there's Captain Janeway.
Sure, there she goes.
She's back in the Delta Quadrant. I wonder if there's a part of her personality that's like, oh boy, all right, here we go.
She's like, here we go again.
We're going to get these kids to the Federation. Let's start looking for Borg.
She's like, look out. She's like a parent. It's like a hologram, but she's paranoid.
Yeah. The first thing I just want you to know, if any of you are in a transporter accident, you're dead. I'm sorry.
She's like, that thing looks too much like a salamander. Get it out of here.
I've got a couple hard and fast rules here. Nobody goes above warp 10. And if you're a transporter clone, we kill you. The idea of, so she mentions the Federation, and we get this this nice little holographic PowerPoint, and she gives us the classic Federation speech, the seek out new life and civilizations, and it's an interesting idea to introduce to these characters, and I also think it's an interesting idea to introduce to an audience of younger viewers the idea of distrust for authority, which is something that I think is important for kids to understand, that there's good authority and bad authority, because some adults don't get it. But also, like, current Trek for adults isn't doing that very well. Shows like, Picard does it a little bit, but like Discovery, Picard, we're kind of recycling the same old, like, the institution is fine, there's a couple bad apples in it. And I just think that it was interesting for them to, like, in the second episode, essentially, to plant their flag and say, well, maybe the Federation doesn't want us, or maybe it's too much power. Maybe there's obviously Dell's not excited about it at all. He's kind of a rebel character, but they're already kind of questioning it.
I have so many thoughts. Number one, I feel like the last season of Discovery, I feel like I was very sus of the Federation. Maybe that was a me problem more than anything.
But everything
I was
turned
like,
out
I
fine,
don't like.
Though. Have a shit
It
apple.
did. I mean, I don't know. I still don't trust Admiral Salt and Pepper. Still sus. But the other thing, okay, this reminds me of, that is so funny. This reminds me of, I went to a Montessori school, right? 7th grade through 12th grade. And it felt like, they teach, it's hippie or whatever. They teach you all this stuff. And so, and it's just very different than normal public school. Right. But then they would get confused when they would, like, try to impose, like, a dress code on us. And we'd be like, it's just like me in 8th grade. Like, how dare you objectify me and suppress me like this? Right. You will not, I simply refuse to obey these rules. And frankly, that's what I hope happens for these kids who are watching Prodigy. I'm like, let them go. Let them distrust authority, as they should.
Yeah.
Right? A little bit. Maybe not too much. You got to have a healthy distrust. I mean, Mr. Biden, where's my $10,000 student loan cut? Don't have it yet. So
exactly. Where's mine? Yeah. And we talked about this a lot in Picard. I think it's funny that this children's show is inching closer to that idea that we had of, like, somebody with a ship that's Federation-like, but at the same time is like, no, we're not. We're good. We don't really want a part of your Federation here. Picard has shades of that, but of course they're racing to save the Federation in the first season, and it looks like they'll be saving it through time or saving all of the humanity in the second one. So I like the fact that they're maybe they just bounce off of it. Maybe halfway through they get to a Federation outpost or they get to the Alpha Quadrant and they're just like, let's turn it back around. I don't need to be here. Too many regulations.
So do you think there's is there no autopilot on the ship? The ship's been lost. Does it not, once it comes back online, it doesn't contact the Federation? They do the Tesla self-park thing where they're like, bring it back, bring it home.
You think they would be able to, and that's something I think that has not haunted, but been at the margins of Star Trek for a while, which is clearly we want to seek out the life, and we want to be the ones that meet the life, and so we need to be on the ships. But by the 24th century, clearly they can just send robot ships out, right? They had robot ships in TOS. In Enterprise, the Romulans have drone ships and stuff, so we could just send ships out without people on them, but we want to be there. So one of the mysteries of the show here is what is the protostar? Why is it here? What does it do? How did it end up, on the asteroid? And so I don't know. Do you have any theories about why that might be? Why the ship is there?
I guess I don't know. You think it's top secret?
It kind of seems like it, doesn't it?
It was a top secret. I mean, where'd all the officers go? Who was on there?
Where's the crew? Yeah,
just Janeway.
It's
just
like
Hollow
Janeway. Horizon.
Hollow Nanny.
A log and everybody's killing each other. I think it probably ties into the mystery device in engineering because the ship, we're told, has 2 warp cores, but then there's a big device in the middle, and we don't know what that is. And I would hesitate to say spore drive, but could be a spore drive.
That's what I was gonna. I mean, it could be, but then don't you think the hologram would have been we can jump straight there? You know what I mean?
Maybe,
or is she
maybe
programmed
it's classified
to hide it?
Yeah, maybe or she's programmed to hide it. Too much power.
Yeah,
I
she
think
doesn't have
would,
the security clearance.
I think it would be interesting because I think that kind of technology has made Discovery a challenge to write. It's when the ship can go anywhere and do anything, you have to kind of be careful of how you set that up or disable the spore drive or make it so you can't use it. And Star Trek has always done that. But putting that in a situation where, what if we've got this crew of colorful characters who are just going to do something new every week? Giving them the spore drive would be a way to do that. And it would also give them an opportunity. I don't know what part. They could just be on the border of the Delta Quadrant. I don't know how deep they are in. But it could give them an opportunity to see the Federation sometime soon and then maybe make that choice whether they're going to stay or not.
Maybe it's just it's a pre-sport. It's just a very fast warp drive. Maybe they can go over warp 10.
It's not warp 10. It's not warp 10, is it? Don't make me get my salamander gun. It could be. Here's another mystery. What's the cat girl runner? What's going on with that? Are they going to have to go back and save the cat?
I think she's going to become the new progeny. She's going to be the villain. And she'll come back and Gwen will be like, oh my God, it's you. And she'll be like, ha ha ha. And then she'll shoot her.
Shades of She-Ra, where She-Ra kind of gets away, but leaves, I didn't really watch She-Ra, the cat lady behind. And so they're kind of rivals, but they could be friends.
Yeah, she'll take over. She'll become the new
Okay,
Gwen.
I think we solved that one. I think that's it. Because she's little now, but I think clearly, somebody says something in this episode about how Gwen is telepathy proof and that she doesn't know if that's part of her species or if it's something that's been done to her. We see that the John Noble's character's name, which I've forgotten already, but he's in a big tube, so they've been experimented on possibly. So yeah, maybe they put the cat girl in a robot suit or something cyborg suit or something like that.
Pacific Rim.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, right. A giant robot suit.
The next episode is just the ship getting grabbed by a giant hand.
5,000.
They're like, hello?
A chick batted at by a giant paw. Yes. What else? There's a lot of emotional depth in this. The actress who plays Rock Talk, whose name I can't remember because I'm bad with names now, she's doing a great job, and I thought that it was a really interesting beat to give to her to be, yes, I'm, young, like mentally, and I don't always know what to do. I'm unsure of myself, but I know that, wait a minute, like you kidnapped me and you kidnapped a bunch of people and you just kept doing it. And now it's clear that you know that it's wrong. So I'm mad at you. And I'm not going to ally with you and help you because, like, why did you do that? Like, that's interesting. I think they can play with that for a while.
Very interesting. And also, she was the only one to think to bring her any food.
That's true. Yes, she at the same time isn't like consumed with rage, but she is certainly
yeah. She's like, here you
resentment. Go. Yeah. That is a great, very mature beat for a kids show. I also liked how they're always talking about shifting power around on Star Trek ships, but on this one, when you say divert all power, it means divert all power.
I was like, they really took the power away from the shields. No warning.
Yeah.
Just first jump was
toilets don't flush.
Take away the shields.
Yeah. The VCR's blinking 12. Yeah, they took all the power away. Although maybe Janeway like goosed that a little to like teach him a lesson. Oh, you want all power? Okay, we'll do that.
She said all the power. Okay, whatever you said, all the power.
Yeah, I also thought it was really smart. Just a little bit in the episode, but like it was smart for them to create a situation where they decided to eject all the escape pods, because then you can't say like, well, why doesn't Gwen just get on an escape pod and get out of there? Now the ship has no escape pods. Okay,
the vehicle replicator, though?
Yes, the vehicle replicator.
Aha! What is going on there?
Well,
what is going on there?
It silences an entire section of Voyager fandom that's like, where do they get all these shuttles from? Here's your answer. They just 3D print them.
Do you think that's how Elon Musk makes the Teslas?
He doesn't make them fast enough, but maybe. Yeah, you didn't think that like Tom Paris was like hammering out like sections of like hull, do you? Actually, he probably tried to do that.
What did oh my gosh, what was the joke last week about hammering on the thing with the wrench?
Oh yeah, the percussive maintenance. Yeah.
Yes.
Good to know that's made it to the 24th
percussive maintenance
century.
To build the shuttlecraft. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's never gonna. That's a classic. You can't take it away. Always gonna be hidden stuff.
There is one question that I think covers over all this. It doesn't have to be a big deal, but there's always talk on Star Trek about, well, specifically, I guess, on TNG about how, oh my God, we've lost all power to the nursery. Why are kids on this Starfleet ship? And that's a choice. This isn't a choice, but we are putting kids in, a lot of danger sometimes here. And they are fighting for their lives. But like, do you think that that's tenable? Do you ever hear or see a moment where you're like, oh boy, kids should not be doing this?
I'm every day.
Yeah. Every day on the internet.
Exactly. Every day on TikTok. Yeah. Should the kids be on the ship? No, but should they be slaves in a mine?
That's
also
true. Yeah.
No. So I'm like, I kind of feel like they grew up pretty quick there.
Yeah, I guess they had to. I think that if we get to know them more as characters, and we get to know what it is that they are either trying to return to or what it is they want, I think that for me it'll be like, okay, that's something like worth fighting for.
Do you think they know what they want?
Well, that's the thing. Like somebody like Jankum, I think he's just like, this is what I'm doing right now, and then later I'll be doing something else. But yeah, I think that if they have,
just the fact that his character age is like 15 is a little jarring.
Yeah,
I get that they're all kids, but I was like, oh, it's kids, and then this one like middle-aged like mechanic. No, 15.
Right? Yeah, I know. He's fine. We checked him out.
Oh yeah, he's cool. Definitely 15.
He had to be cleared to work on the asteroid. But yeah, I look forward certainly to getting to know all the characters better. Anything else that you wanted to mention, or things that you'd left out about the episode?
I don't think so. I had a
Yeah.
good time, you know?
Yeah. It was fun.
I hope that it's just as good next week. I'm not sure. I think that it's hard with like a kid. So it's hard with like a kids show versus like Lower Decks, where like a lot can really happen in like a Lower Decks episode versus like this Nickelodeon show. It's like we're really not that far into. Don't really know what's going on yet. We gotta wait
Yeah.
till I think at least next week for some more like concrete like okay, what is the season gonna be besides them struggling with the ship.
Yeah. I don't. Well, I mean, there'll definitely be like a season long arc. I was looking forward to, especially because if it's a cartoon and it's going to run at 4 p.m. on a weekday, and you're going to plop, and you're a kid, you're going to plop down in front of it. I was hoping that they would be a little more standalone, but this one picks up like literally where the last one left off, and so I'm hoping that they're doing like every show needs 3 episodes to pilot in this day and age, and maybe they'll have a little more standalone adventures as the show goes on. But I am, I'm looking forward to what they do in the future, and I think in the great tradition of some of the best cartoons, like your Batman or your Powerpuff Girls or something like that.
Yes.
Having some kind of okay, we get where everybody is. They're gonna be on this journey, but then every week we're going to have to deal with something else. And
every week we're going to have to fight Mojo Jojo.
Yeah, Mojo Jojo.
The evil monkey.
Or him will show up, yeah. See, you like cartoons.
I definitely think Mojo Jojo is maybe the funniest name ever for a villainous cartoon monkey.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a stroke of genius.
That's pretty good. I can't think of another cartoon monkey. Magilla Gorilla. That's not bad.
Frankly, me neither.
Maybe Detective Chimp. I don't
know. Curious George.
Curious George. Yeah. Okay.
Not as funny as Mojo Jojo.
But it does what it says on the tin, though. I just like the fact that the Protostars OS or its heads-up display looks just like the one from Star Trek Bridge Crew. If you've ever seen or played that VR game, so I thought that was that's kind of fun.
That's wild. They threw that little Easter egg in there for you.
Yes, they did, and I appreciate it. Well, I think that is it for our show this week, and thanks for joining us, listeners. And if you like what you hear on this show, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at EISTPod for updates and to get notified when new episodes of both Discoverage and Enterprising Individuals, our main show, are released. You can tweet to us on the show by using the hashtag Discoverage, or email us at eistpod@gmail.com. And while you're on the internet, why not head to your listening platform of choice and subscribe to our show feed and give us a rating and a review, because it really helps us out. If you want to help the show grow, stop by our Patreon page at patreon.com/EISTPOD. And as always, if you like the show, tell a friend. Discoverage will return on November 11th for the 4th episode of Star Trek Prodigy. We don't know the title of that episode yet, but we'll be here that Thursday to cover it. We'll be going live once again at 8 p.m. Central, so join us then. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook at EISTPod to get notified when we are live and broadcasting. And in the meantime, why not check out our main show, Enterprising Individuals, at enterprisingindividuals.com. Every Wednesday on the show, I and a special guest discuss in excruciating detail a selected episode from a Star Trek series. We also have news from the Trek sphere and interviews with special guests. And the show is currently on a break. No new episode this week, but you can hear all of our previous episodes on your listening platform of choice or by going to our website, enterprisingindividuals.com. Ella, thanks as always for joining me to talk about tonight's episode of Prodigy and remind people where they can find you online.
Thank you. My home podcast is Generations Geek. We'll have some new stuff coming out soon. Awesome. And my personals are at Gondor Gold.
Do you guys have an Instagram?
Generations Geek, yeah. But, once COVID hit the Instagram, it took a dive.
Oh, yeah.
Not too much going on. Haven't been to a convention since, but we're on there.
Yeah, mine too. You could always just take pictures of all your dad's collectibles and stuff, put those on there.
That would be, I don't know if we want to embark on that.
That's a little project.
I'm definitely going to touch them. I think it would be more about how many years would it take for me to post all of the stuff. Maybe I'll post a picture of the wall now that we've discussed it so much this episode. Maybe we'll get a sneak peek into my parents' basement.
Give people a look at the wall.
Give the people what they want.
Yeah. Well,
which is Scott Pearson's basement.
Scott Pearson's basement wall of geekery.
Yep.
Well, that is it for us. Thanks for listening, everyone. And we are signing off. This is Aaron for Ella saying live long and prosper.